This is the Mazda CX-60. I'm going to do an in-depth technical review of the sound system. I'm going to show you the speakers one by one. Then I'm going to do a test using a professional recording microphone so you can get an idea of what this Bose sound system sounds like. All right, let's start with the subwoofer. It is here in the trunk. It is in the space where the spare tire is. It is plastic. If, for example, you need your spare tire, you'll have to remove the screw here and you unscrew it like that. And then I just disconnect this wire over here, and here is the sub. Now, it is actually quite light. I don't even think it's 5 kilograms. And do you want to see what's inside? Let me open it for you. And there, in typical Bose fashion, a small speaker. It says the capsule is 10 liters and it's about 13 centimeters wide. It is a bass reflex. Here is the speaker. It is 13 centimeters across. There's the connectors, the positive and negative. I've unplugged it. Less than 2 ohms, 1.3 ohms. The quality is quite decent, quite old-fashioned. It's got quite a lot of space to move here. As you can see how high this is. This has got quite a bit of free play. Not a very big magnet on the bottom here. It does say it's neodymium, which means it's supposed to be more efficient. And it's just a plastic cavity, that's all. All right, this enclosure is ported. If you have a look on the side there is the port. Then you have a neodymium tweeter over here, one on each side, only in the front. On the passenger and driver's side, this is what it looks like. It's got a little capacitor here, a little high-pass filter. There's the part number. It's quite heavy. Now, something I notice is it's actually loosing here. So it actually rattles, and this is a source of noise. So I'm just putting this tape around it just to dampen that. Yeah, there we go. Right, that's now fastened in place there, no more rattles. Then in each of the 4 doors, there are mid-range speakers, one in each door. They're not very big. Apparently it's 8 centimeters wide. Now these are duplicated in each of the doors. This is what it looks like. It sits in this frame and I just hook it back like that. All right, the back doors have a little speaker like this. It comes with 2 screws. I'll just show you the back of the speaker. It's just a mid-range speaker. So that's the part number. The speaker just fits in over here. It's got some padding here for some noise reduction, just rubberizing here. Possible rattle here. So I just put some double-sided tape here, just like that. So even if it moves, it's got that double-sided tape. Then in the C-pillars, one on each side, we have 2 surround sound speakers. So here's the housing. There's the mid-range speaker, slightly different from the ones on the door. In fact, I believe this is a little bit smaller. The ones in the door are 8 centimeters, and this is 6.5 centimeters, so 3.7 ohms. That's common for cars because cars only have a 12-volt battery, whereas domestic radios, hi-fis, normally have 8 ohm speakers because of the higher voltage, whereas in the car there is a good availability of current, but the voltage is more of the challenge. Okay, so there is the little speaker. You can unscrew that and unscrew that. It is made of plastic. It's completely plastic, and there is the surround sound. It even says Bose on it. From this side, the quality looks good, just over 6 centimeters. All right, so 1 speaker in each of the doors is 4, plus the sub is 5, plus 1 speaker in each of the pillars at the back, plus 1 tweeter in each of the front doors is 9. Then here in the front by the dash, I've just loosened this panel. There's 1 more speaker there, that's number 10. That's an 8 centimeter speaker. Now here in the footrest in the front, there's actually a speaker inside here on each side. That takes us to 11, 12. Now Mazda claimed that they were the first to do this, and I'll quickly show you what it looks like. So I just have to remove some panels here. Right, so I'm just removing this. And look at that, there's a nice cavity here for some bass right in the front. So I'm just going to disconnect this and show it to you. Right, so this was screwed in with 3 size 10 screws. There is a little push pin at the back there, and here is the unit. I'm just going to pull it out and show it to you. So first thing is notice how much space they've created here. There's a big cavity where the magnet of the woofer can go in there. And just to give you an idea, this is the space, this is what it looks like. All right, this is a very intentional design. Judging by the capsule here and the way they've done it, this is really all about the sound. What I mean by that is this is huge for the fact that it slides in there by the footrest. You know, there's normally cables there, sometimes a fuse box. So they've really prioritized the audio here, and this is what the speaker looks like. This is significant. What I mean by that is, and I'll play the sound for you, but I can feel quite a bit of bass coming from the front of the car. You get quite an encapsulating sound, meaning it's not like the bass is only coming from the trunk, you're actually getting it from the front as well. On high-end cars, you do sometimes get a subwoofer under the seat, and here Mazda's response to that is in the footwell by the door side. And just taking a resistance reading, and we can see that this is like the sub in the trunk, 1 ohm. So the bass drivers are all at 1 ohm. giving quite a bit of current through these speakers. The size of this is 11 centimeters, or actually just bigger than 11 centimeters. And according to Bose, this is a 4-liter enclosure. Just having a look at it. So it's just 4 screws. These are Torx screws, and then you can get to the speaker, and then the speaker is also 4 Torx screws. Then under the seat, there is the amplifier, and that's what it looks like. All the cables are on the right-hand side. This is on the front driver's seat. Right, for these tests, I'm using the Rode NT1 professional microphone. It has a wide range. Okay, so for this test, the bass is at number 4 and the treble is at 0. Fader and balance in the center. Now, there is this thing called Bose center point. I have it at 1. This is the Bose center point. What it aims to do is it's supposed to take the normal left-right stereo track and digitally spread it across all the speakers in the car. So it pulls common sounds like vocals into the center while pushing ambience and instruments wider to give it a fuller sound, but it's not a true surround sound, it's actually processing. This is what it sounds like. I'm going to compare the different levels. I'm just going to show you some of the waveforms I captured when I was doing the bass tests. Now, I used the Rode NT1 microphone. It is the latest model, and the microphone should be able to give a good rendition of what the sound was with those very low bass notes. So let's have a look at the sound waves that I recorded when I was doing the bass test. Now, this is the recorded sound from the microphone via my computer. So just for your interest, I used the Audient ID14, and its frequency range is 10 Hz to 40 kilohertz with only a 0.5 0.5 decibel deviation. So this is 35 hertz. Now it's supposed to be a sine wave. If you have a look at it, it has a lot of distortion. We can see the amplitude on the side here. This was played at 100% volume, meaning I turned the volume on the Mazda's Bose sound system maximum, and there is the amplitude. The decibels is on the left there. And this is what 35 hertz looks like. Not great, a lot of distortion. Now I'm just going to move along here and then show you the 50 hertz. So this is halfway in the range of the volume in the vehicle. You can see it's like a perfect sine wave. Very, very good rendition here. And let's double up the volume. So what happened is I now put the volume at maximum. So this is the sound system, literally 100%, the volume knob turned fully, no clipping. And I'm very impressed here. So it's not distorting. So it has been matched pretty well. Then at 80 hertz, at half volume, this is what the sine wave looks like. And then a little bit later here, we did the 80 hertz at full volume. That's what the sine wave looks like. No complaints here. Looks really good, stable, no clipping. So clipping would mean that the top of the sine wave is almost like chopped off. So that means that the speakers are doing a really good job of delivering the sound without distortion for the bass. Now let's go to 100 hertz. This is what 50% of the volume looks like. Perfect. It's a very good sine wave. The amplitude is drifting a little bit. You probably can't see it. If I just zoom in a bit, you might notice that there is a little bit of drift, like it is going a bit higher than lower, then higher and lower. So some distortion coming in here. It should be a perfect sine wave. Now let's have a look at the full volume, 100% volume at 100 hertz. Okay, so the sine wave has a little bit of distortion. It's still not distorting at the peaks and the troughs. Like if you look at the bottom and the top of the wave, it's holding its own very well. But if you notice, it's not 100% a sine wave anymore. It's leaning a bit. It's becoming a bit triangular, but still it's a pass. Some non-linearity is creeping in there, but it's still a very good result for the fact that this is 100%, meaning I've got the volume at maximum. So what do I think of the sound system? Now, the first thing I want to mention, if you've got a bass speaker in your door, what I mean is a mid-bass or even a little sub in your door, unless you've reinforced it and you've got a lot of dampening and carpeting where your bottle would be in the door, it rattles. So I love the idea of having the bass enclosure at the footwell section of the car. I think that is a win, and that is a 10 out of 10. I think that Mazda has done really well there. If you put the mid bass and you're trying to get bass from the door, what happens is when your leg leans on the door, maybe you're wearing thick pants, it actually dampens the bass quite a lot. So overall, the bass in the vehicle is decent. At 35 hertz, not great actually, but at 50 hertz, I feel like that's a sweet spot. You can immediately feel the tuning of that sub box in the boot. It's probably tuned between 50 and 60 hertz. So it does work, and it works really well. You do feel that low end bass in this vehicle. However, as we increase the bass to like 80 or 100 hertz, it's still quite tight. Look, it's not very tight. It's, the boxes are all ported, so they're not going to give you that very tight bass. How does the sound? Now, it's very difficult to watch a YouTube video and tell the sound of a vehicle, but you'll just have to trust me. So it does sound good. The highs are really good. And what I mean by that is, if you compare it to other systems, you might find that the highs are very bright. With this Bose system, yes, there is some good treble, but if you turn the treble down a little bit, it's still clear, and it does have enough brightness that you feel like it's crisp without hurting your ears. Now, I've been in many vehicles where it's so bright that you feel like your ears are being attacked. Whereas in this case, I think the balance between the bass and the treble and the mid is very good. Overall, I think they did well to try and cover all the different music genres. House music and beaty kind of dance music, I feel like, is probably the music that sounds the best in the vehicle. Whereas rock and heavy metal, it's not as good. So you have to play around with the graphic equalizer a little bit there. Some vehicles you can actually change more than just bass and treble, and I feel like that's where they've come short here. They should have given you a parametric equalizer where you could have adjusted maybe the low end bass notes, mid range, upper mid, and then the treble. And then if you want to have rock music or heavy metal, you can set a profile where the mid is a bit lower. Unfortunately, this car, I couldn't find it on the Bose system here where you try and reduce some of the mid. So that's my limitation here, as I feel like they could have had a parametric equalizer giving me more control of the sound profiles, a sound profile for house, a sound profile for female vocals, a sound profile for classical music, a sound profile for heavy metal or rock music, for example. Overall, I think they've done a really good job. The sound system is way above average, especially in this bracket, and I can compare it to BMW, for example. They use the Harman system. I can say this is definitely comparable, even though those vehicles cost a bit more. So overall, I like the system. I think they've matched the amp to the speakers well because I don't pick up a lot of distortion. Often when you play a sound system at its near its maximum, you start picking up a lot of distortion. And in this case, it's pretty well balanced. However, I do notice that on certain occasions, if I've been listening to it very loud and for an extended period of time, one or two speakers seems to get softer or just go offline. I don't know if that's a thermal protection or maybe that's just on my vehicle. I can say that the speakers are well designed, the placement is good, but overall I give it a thumbs up. I think you'll enjoy the sound of the Mazda CX-60's Bose sound system. Well done. I think they did a good job. Thanks for watching. Cheers.